and welcome to the show. On today's Nurburgring challenge, I shall be driving the Honda NSX-R. Now this challenge is for me to try and drive this vehicle around the Nurburgring quicker than the time it's set in real life. This particular target is a 7 minutes 58, which I thought was going to be a pretty big challenge to manage to do this. Now, as far as I am aware, the time that was set by the car in real life was driven with a standard vehicle. There's nothing to say else otherwise. So that's what I have done with this vehicle. I have kept it completely stock. The tyres are exactly the same as it all came with from the shop. Nothing has changed on this car. Now, 7:58 is actually pretty damn quick around the Nurburgring, considering that this car is a C-Class car. It's towards the top of C-Class, but it is still in C-Class. The Viper I drove last week that did a 7:45 was midway through B-Class. So yeah, this was likely to be a bit more of a challenge than the previous two that I've driven around here. The NSX is a car that I quite like. I do like the Honda NSX. I think these are pretty cool cars. They drive very nicely. So I was hoping that I could make up some time through the corners, because of course this is never going to be as fast as the Viper down the long straights, and there are quite a few long straights to contend with. At the Nurburgring there are also quite a lot of very high speed corners and very scary corners. Through the opening section, and things were all relatively calm with the NSX. Yeah, this is a very nice car to drive. In many respects this is quite similar to the Viper, which is a weird thing to say. I do realise coming up next are the two hardest corners on the track, I think. This one here is pretty damn terrifying. It's a brake and a turn in at about 110, 112 miles an hour for a double apex right-hander that you really don't see very much of. It's incredibly fast through there. You've got to have faith in your car having grip, that the back end will stick, and this next corner is even worse. 130 miles an hour, similar speeds to the Viper. Turn in is completely blind through there. It's it is a horrible corner. It's slightly off camber, it's slightly hilly through there. You've just got to believe that your car will stick when you try to take that corner. And the NSX does. The NSX does stick to the road. It has plenty of rear end grip. But it is fairly similar to the Viper in many respects. It's got a lot of grip, it's got good turning. I think it's slightly better on the brakes than the Viper is. At the top of this hill, as again is another corner, just a brake and a downshift, fling the car in, and somehow it still has enough grip. These next couple of corners are some of the slower speed corners on the track, which the NSX deals with very well. It puts its power down better than the Viper does. Unsurprising, considering there is 290 horsepower to deal with in this, rather than the 460 odd that was in the Viper. But yeah, through the opening parts, it's a good car. It's a good car, but the back end is still just... like you're driving it and the back end constantly feels like it's just about to let go. Very similar to the Viper in that respect. It's... I don't know, it's for me it's a little bit scary having a car do that, because it's constantly on the edge of sliding out on you through some of the corners, and I would rather it was just a tiny bit more stable. But it is what it is, and it's fairly drivable. I get things tiny bit out of shape. Tried to take too much speed through that chicane. That wasn't quite flat out. I can't do it flat out in the NSX without bumping a wall. That was with a tiny lift and a lot of bravery, and I ate some curbs. Very nearly ate the crash barrier. I just about kept two wheels on the track through that. Yeah, I thought I was a goner when I went through there at that speed. Normally if you bump over the curbs here, it will ping you off into the wall. The curbs are horrible. The same with this car as we had with last week. The curbs are effectively almost a wall in some places. They are so severe. So if you turn in and you clip the curb, it forces the car out wide quite viciously, almost as if you just hit a wall. So you've got to be wary of them. You've got to try and avoid the curbs as best you can. This next corner is a horrible one for curbs. It's just a sheer wall, really. You just can't go near them. So keep out of the way of them in the NSX, and things are okay. Up till this stage, things had been going well. Apart from that one scare through a very fast chicane, I hadn't had any problems. The car is a little bit more stable. It's not quite on the edge in the same way that the Viper is. Through this section here, it's much more it's almost more believable. I have more faith in this car that will grip when we go through these corners. Flat out all the way down here. But it just feels a little bit more comfortable in the NSX. Which is not surprising. This car should be better through the corners. Again, this next one, it's a small brake. Get it down to about 105, 108 miles an hour through there. And still the car holds up the road. This next corner is one of the more impressive the NSX does. Flat out through there. That was scary the first time I tried to take that flat out. It does have the grip to do it, but you will be absolutely pushing it. There is nothing left in the tyres through there if you're going to do it flat out. As you saw, it was on the limit through that section. The carousel is also a pain in the NSX, much like the Viper. It's a little bit hard getting the car through this corner. You have to turn it in. Basically, you can't adjust your steering. Once you've got it in the carousel, fiddle with the steering, it'll spit you out. It'll either throw you at the wall at the top or it will spin you as you clatter the curb on the inside. So you have to adjust your positioning in the carousel using the throttle. It's a very fine balancing act, keeping the car in there, keeping it in the right place on that corner. That took a bit of time getting used to the NSX. In some respects, I think it's a little bit worse with the Honda. It's not quite got the power, so you have to be really, really fine-tune that corner if you want to get around it quickly. Now we start moving into the slightly more technical section of the track here. There's a lot of corners. It's actually, even I've done this a few times now, driven quite a few laps here now, even I get a bit lost through these next few corners. I may have got it a little bit over the curves as well. It's very easy to get disorientated and forget quite what corner's coming up next and end up thinking it's a much higher speed corner than it is. But things were going pretty well. I had a couple of... I kicked up the dirt in a couple of places, shall we say, with the Honda, but hadn't had any major problems. Each time I'd only put sort of one wheel or two wheels on the dirt. I hadn't really had big sideways moments, big off-the-track moments. There are still plenty of scary corners on this part. It's also quite narrow, this remaining section of track. So yeah, you've got to position your car absolutely perfectly if you want to be taking any speed through these corners. That corner I just went around there, that's a pretty tough one as well. It's another one it's a small brake. It's not quite flat out. It's just a small brake and turn in and hope. This one, again, as you can see by the way the car is sliding, flat out of the NSX. You can't do that with a Viper. That was completely flat out of the NSX. And again, it's absolutely on the limit through there, taking it flat out. It's good fun, but a bit scary. Every part of your brain is shouting at you to lift and to brake, but the NSX can take it. This corner, on my fastest run, I didn't quite get that one right. I have been taking that better on the previous runs. That was just clip the curb on the inside and bump me out a little bit wide. Not ideal through there. But the rest of the lap had been pretty damn good. And it's onto this very long straight around the final corner. Again, not quite flat out through that final corner. Quicker than the Viper, easier to get it around there than the Viper, but wasn't quite on the flat out side. Then we have a very long straight, and as good as the NSX is, or NSX-R is, straight line speed is not this car's strength. It's not too shabby. I think it tops out at 176 according to the benchmark. I was doing about 155 as we go up the hill. Once you go around the corner, easily flat out around this corner, not a problem in the NSX. You top out about 160 before you get to the chicane. Yeah, it's not as quick as the Viper, but you know, that's not really surprising. It makes up its time in the corners. Flat out through the first part of the chicane, a dab on the brakes, still very quick through there. It was very, very good, very balanced through that section. And then make sure you slow down for this next bit. These are a couple of slow corners here. Very easy to overshoot, get a bit carried away after carrying so much speed through that chicane. And then it's around the final corner for the Honda, and it is across the line. I was pretty damn pleased with that lap. Apart from there was a little out of position moments towards the end of that lap that annoyed me after I bumped over the curb. I know I could take that corner quicker. Yeah, I was pretty damn pleased with that lap, and the lap time was pretty good. My target was a 7:58. I did a 7:55.7, which not beat it by much, but I did go quicker. I spent an awful long time in the 7:59s. I must have done 4 or 5 laps at 7:59, and I was wondering if I was going to have to do anything to the car to beat the time. But yeah, that lap was really on it. I think I could probably get maybe another second or two out of it. There are a couple of places that I was a little bit out of shape on. But yeah, that was a tough challenge trying to do that lap. It really was. NSX, great car. I did enjoy driving this vehicle around here. it was very well suited to the Nurburgring. Only criticism I really have of the NSX-R is it's a little bit expensive. 110,000 credits for this. It's quite a lot of money. For 110,000 you could have a Nissan GT-R, ACR Viper, Lamborghini Diablo, Corvette C6ZR1 even. It is quite a lot of money. It is a very good car though. It is a good car this. I just think it's a little bit too expensive for what it is. It's still good fun. It's still pretty damn scary driving it through some of these corners around here. But I managed to beat the lap time just about, so I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.